Hey everybody, this is Mike LaPone from Symphony X and Mike LaPone's Silent Assassins, and this is SAGAS.
Hi, my name is Josh Freeman. I run DWI Clothing. We do a lot of stuff with SAGAS Metal Podcast. I have a store with all of their merch, exclusive. There's a US, UK, and Australian store where you can get any of their merch. There's going to be new designs coming up pretty soon. Also in the US store, for right now, I have this shirt right here, the original DWI shirt with the print on the back that says "Deal with it." I also have one of the better shirts that's sold so far, the Nap City shirt. And this one, my wife really likes, the Po Daddy shirt. All of these are available on the US store only for right now. But if you're a fan of SAGAS Metal Podcast, if you're a fan of any of these designs, go check it out. Go check out the link. I've set up 3 stores, so shipping is cheaper and faster, depending on where you live. And if you guys can get to 500 subscribers on the SAGAS Metal Podcast YouTube page, we can do that even bigger and even better.
What's going on, everybody? This is Corbin, the Serpent Tongue Skipper.
And this is Ren, the Berserker Marabou. And this is...
SAGAS.
SAGAS. Welcome.
So, we are back, and last week we spoke about Godspeed You Black Emperor, with the complicated name I always forget, F-something hash. Their first name, their first album, great album. I finally got to talk about them. It's out of my system. That's good. Now, for this week, I think in the similar excitement, you get to talk about a band that you've wanted to talk about for a while. So why don't you introduce people?
Yes. Well, I'm very excited to be chatting about these, even though they were like one of the first bands I had in mind to do on the podcast, but I don't know why exactly. I think I just, I try to hold off on the fanboy episodes as much as I can because I get overzealous and quite excited, but this band is definitely going to make me excited. So this is Arch Enemy, the Swedish metal melodic death metal. I was coming up with my own genre there. death melodic. Anyway, melodic death metal pioneers in my book. Arch Enemy. You know, you could almost call them like the original supergroup, you know, because like they had illustrious careers in many bands before they made Arch Enemy, even though Arch Enemy started very early, like 95 or something, I think, early in the kind of like new wave kind of metal. So super excited to chat about these awesome boys. But not only are we chatting about them, but we're chatting about one of their, I think, pinnacle albums. One of their albums that really grabbed my attention anyway as a listener is Doomsday Machine. Boom. 2005. One of my favorites. So you know this album, so it's not first listen, but
No, it's not.
How was your revisit, let's say?
I revisit. All right. So, first of all, there was something I was going to say and I forgot it, so we will not talk about it. Secondly, it's interesting because like going quick skimming through their Wikipedia, like it's weird because I've always categorized them as technical death metal. That's how melodic. I've never thought about. When I think of melodic death metal, I think of like Children of Bodom and shit like that. I don't really think of these guys. I don't know. I guess because the instrumentation is so technical and complex. I've always said whenever the name comes in my head, I always think technical death metal. So I'll be wrong. It's actually melodic death metal, but either way, you're right. This is not the first time I heard this album. This was like a high school album because it's very interesting. Because for me, I was always in a different league of music taste than my friends. So in high school, when my friends would listen to like like fucking emo and screamer bands like Ars Alexandria and whatnot. I was already listening to like Cannibal Corpse and Arch Enemy, and then when they finally got to these boys, I was on to like Dying Fetus, like black metal. Like I was always leaps ahead of what my friends were. And so yeah, I remember this was a high school album. I was maybe 2005. I was maybe in year 8, 9, so 16, 17 when I started listening to these guys. And I still remember like the first time I listened to this, Nemesis was probably the first track I heard of them off this album. And I remember being blown away that the singer, you know, fucking Angela, who's since been replaced with, I swear, her identical twin. It doesn't have any difference. So that's very rare for a band, for me, not to notice that much difference especially when they replace the singer. So good on whoever the new woman's called. But yeah, this one features original, well, kind of original, because there was a guy before this. The guy started the band, and then her, and then now the new one. But yeah, no, my first impressions, just as good as I remember it. Very, you know, technical still. I still think it's technical. Very engaging, very as I actually, you know, this was the kind of what was I gonna say? This was the kind of album that pushed death metal past what it normally was known for. Because, you know, it was normally known for, you know, the meat and potato style, like Cannibal Corpse, very just death, you know, the band Death, Cannibal Corpse, you know, very just straight up, you know what you're getting, like fast. It's like kind of thrash metal without the thrash, just the same kind of notes over and over, which isn't a bad thing if you like that kind of style. But I think these guys really pushed it. And, you know, bands like Children of Bodom, as I said before, really pushed the technical and melodic dynamic that people didn't think death metal could achieve back in the day. And now you have fucking everything. Now you probably have country death metal, you probably have opera death metal, you probably have every kind of death metal. But back then, discovering the death metal that wasn't just your everyday normal death metal, yeah, it was refreshing, and going back, it's still as good as I remember it.
Yeah, man. Honestly, when I heard it first, I didn't realize. I was listening to the vocalist. I was like, fuck, this is some badass vocals. And then I don't know how I discovered, but I discovered it was a female vocalist, and it just fucking blew my mind. It was the first time I'd ever heard, you know, like a female vocalist. Like I'd heard plenty of others, you know, doing really heavy kind of like full of fucking tenacity and balls, if you will. But Angela just took it to a whole other level of like technicality, like I'd seen quite a few seminars that she had done doing teaching people the techniques, and this is before even like YouTube, where you can literally click how to death growl now, and you'll get like a million lads telling you how to do it. But back in the time of this album, it was very still like a kind of a mysterious kind of thing, you know. It wasn't really overly spoke about, but yeah, I think the melodic. What is fucking wrong with me saying the word melodic today? Melodic. The melodic aspect, I think, comes from the two brothers, the Amat brothers. Very neoclassical kind of style to their leads. Like honestly, man, Michael Amat is one of my favorite guitarists, and his brother is totally underrated as well, because obviously he does the rhythm. His brother is Christopher. Christopher does the riffs. He's since left the band. I think he left in like 2006. But the two of them together, and on this album, the two of them are playing on this album, and it's just so unbelievably technical, but fresh at the same time, but classical at the same. It's just like, it's just beautiful. Like these two boys together. I was so sad to hear when he left, but Jeff Loomis is playing with them now, who's also an incredible guitar player in his own right. But yeah, the replacement of Alicia, or as the replacement, Alicia is a really, really good fit, good match. But to me, Angela still is the best female vocalist, I believe, of all time. I think she broke the mold. She completely created a whole new thing. I'm pretty sure Alicia wouldn't have been doing what she was doing, you know, when the boys found her in her other band. what was the name of them? They were on tour anyway with her original band. I'm thinking of Infected Rain, but it's not Infected Rain. That's another really cool female fronted band. Yeah, and they literally were like, all right, well, this woman can definitely step in the shoes. I was so disappointed though, before I heard what Alicia could do. I was absolutely devastated. I was like, what the fuck? Like to me, Angela is arch enemy. Like her and Michael. And the interesting thing is that they were engaged to be married at one stage. And I just thought that was crazy. I was like, talk about power couples. Holy shit. Like, I mean, fucking hell, you couldn't get more talent in a couple. Like, but yeah, this album just sits in nicely between the Wages of Sin, which is another one of my favorites. I had 3 albums that I wanted to pick from them. It was Wages of Sin, Rise of the Tyrant that I mentioned last week, and this Doomsday. There's Anthems of Rebellion in between there as well, but those 3 that I mentioned are definitely, I still think, are their best albums. Like they really, really, really created exceptional albums. But also, we're gonna have to mention Andy Sneap once again, because he worked on this album too. I feel like every fucking album we talk about lately, Andy Sneap's been on it. Like,
and yeah, I was literally just about to say that. I was like, your good friend Andy Sneap. So yeah, he's been in fucking 10. Oh, that's what I was gonna say to you at the start. I remember that. This would be our 72nd podcast. Do you remember the first album you recommended?
Oh fuck no.
Because I do. I chose your band as the first episode, but who did you choose?
Yeah, gives a clue. Gives a clue.
I feel like anything I say will give it away. Buried Alive by Love.
Buried Alive. Oh, well, did I pick him? Right, okay.
Love Metal.
Yeah, Love Metal. See, I don't know why, but for some reason I had it in my head that you picked that album. But yeah, no, I did pick that album. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there you go. That came to my head.
Bit of trivia there.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this is interesting because, like, yeah, as you said, mixed by Andy C, produced by Rickard Bengtsson. Look, it sounds like a fake name. The way it's spelled, Rickard Bengtsson. This pushes. As I said in the first part, this pushes a lot of interesting ground because you got 2005. I mean, actually, ironically, the Masaga album we covered was from 2005. But
right.
So this would have came out the same year. But there's so many interesting albums, in this landscape. Like I'm checking out. You got Judas Priest, Angel of Retribution, System of a Down. They actually released both their albums, Mesmerized and Hypnotized, the same year. Devil Driver, OPF, Dream Theater, Bruce Dickinson, Nile, Disturbed, 10,000 Fists, great album. Bon Jovi, Avenged Sevenfold. I mean, Rammstein. This year, Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium. This album this year just called Dark Character by Dark Tranquility, which is interesting because that album actually beat Arch Enemy for album of the year in the metal genre. So they came second to Dark Tranquility. Motley Crue, Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, everyone made an album this year. So, for a year, I think it speaks to its greatest because for a year full of the Black Dahlia Murder, for the year to just release so much bands releasing so many good albums, Black Label Society, Camelot, Gojira, Strapping Young Lad, all these bands coming out and the world still thinks so fondly of this album, Arch Enemy. Like, to come out in that year landscape is insane. And to still be, and for people to still go back to this album and be like, oh shit, this was, so it's just like, to come out during that era was insane, and to be remembered so well even after the fact is insane even more. This album starts off with the first track, Into the Machine, which is a very nice, timely instrumental. It feels like almost like a sonic equivalent of like a volcano erupting. You can feel it coming, and then bang, taking back my soul, which is interesting because when I first listened to this again, I had it in my head that it went Into the Machine and then Nemesis. I forgot there was a second track in between because I swear I could remember it like without the second track. Either way, it's a great second track, and then obviously the hit piece Nemesis comes out, and that's the song, like the first song I remember listening to them, one of the most memorable songs still. And yeah, the fact the vocals, which, obviously the band itself, the guitarist, bass drums, they're all amazing, but it's just like, because I think a lot of people, I remember when I used to show people back in high school and I'd be like, oh, listen to this band, and they'd all say, I think they're like, oh, that guy's a crazy vocalist, and then I'm like, and then I'm like, well, listen to, and then I'll show them the music video. It's like a girl, and they're like, what the fuck? So it's just like, yeah, Angela Gosso, who is a advocate for weed smoking.
Yeah,
she vapes cannabis and credits it for significant improvement in her asthma. Somehow, I don't know how smoking improves asthma, but hey, she's that legendary. She can just improve her asthma by smoking. But then claims she's a non-smoker. Okay, so she doesn't smoke cigarettes, but she smokes weed. That's pretty cool. And yeah, she's very outspoken apparently, and reflecting through her songs. So yeah, she's very, and just the way she looks, like when she's performing, she looks like a pissed off, just like focused entity. So I can imagine her real life persona wouldn't be that different. Outspoken and apparently a stoner, which is pretty cool. It's just, this album is just such a memorable experience. Obviously, the singles being Nemesis, My Apocalypse, and Taking Back My Soul. And what's interesting is that this album was ranked 470 in Rock Hard Magazine's the 500 greatest metal albums of all time. So it'd still be 30. And you can see a bunch of trolls online be like, oh, only 470. It's like, for example, on the top 50, on the top either 500 or 100 best metal vocalists of all time, Danny Filth is like 499 or 49 or 99. And like a lot of people give him shit for it, and I'm like, dude, you're on the list. Because of fuck where you are. Like, you made the list, So it's like, in this situation, yeah, it may not be top 100 or top 50 or whatever, but you're still on the list for the greatest rock metal albums of all time, and I'll be interested to read that later and see what other albums on there. But yeah, most likely the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's number one. It's number one for everything.
Hopefully, yeah.
But yeah, no, great. It didn't sell as much as I'd like to. Maybe 65,000. Only 87, 23, 74, and 12 on the charts. But hey, it's a memorable album, and you got metalheads like us that keep returning to this album, keep returning to those hit singles. So I think they did a good job in my book.
Yeah, I mean, like, when you think about, not only is the songwriting exceptional, but the musicianship is just fucking outrageous. Like, honest to God, I think Daniel John Lanson, I'm not entirely sure how to, never knew, there's too many vowels in that second name, I'm afraid. Erlandson, but there's loads of S's and like an extra R. Anyway, I've absolutely loved his drumming for a very long time. And I remember having like a DVD box set of them on tour, and they just seem like really cool guys as well. And they loved eating these sweets called dumle. Dumle. It's like a Swedish, it's like a bit of chocolate with toffee inside. And when we recently went on tour in Sweden, I got to see them, these sweets that I had watched Arch Enemy eating for years on tour, and I was like, Dumle! I was saying that to the boys, and they were like, what the hell is wrong with you? I got all excited. It's like, Dumle! So anybody that has watched the live behind the scenes stuff of Arch Enemy, they'll know what I'm talking about. But what's really interesting is you mentioned Cradle of Filth, and Daniel has worked with Cradle of Filth. But he's also, his brother has worked with Cradle of Filth. So his brother's like an exceptional drummer as well. I guess that's crazy, right? Two super gifted drummers. Like, His brother played with In Flames on the Subterranean album, and it's just there's so much talent going on there. But he's actually from a place called Malmo in Sweden, which was the last place we played in Sweden. And honest to God, man, the people there, I said about the Swedish people before, but fuck me, they're the nicest people in the world, like, honestly. But the other interesting thing you mentioned was Dark Tranquility. That's really interesting, right? Because Christopher is now playing with Dark Tranquility. He's their guitarist, like, so he must have left Arch Enemy to go with them. He's like, back in 2005, they fucking beat us in the charts. Fuck yes, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go where the winners are.
Yeah.
Something like, I'd imagine that's pretty much what happened. Like, but also just before the podcast, anybody that's obviously you just weren't here because we didn't have the camera switched on, but myself and Corbin were chatting, and I got a phone call from Germany, and I don't know what the fuck it was. It just said a phone call from Germany, so maybe it was Angela because she's German, and maybe she was ringing up to say, I hear you are doing the podcast. That's just a thought that came to my mind. Also very plausible. I could imagine it's definitely what happened. But before we talk anymore about the album, I just need to get my little fanboy moment out about Michael Amott, right? Because he was in Carcass and Carnage and Spiritual Beggars and all these amazing bands, right? And Carcass since have done reunion tours, and oh man, like to think that he was in Carcass and Carnage and then Arch Enemy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just outrageous. Like, it's just stupid. The man has just unbelievable talent, but his signature guitars, always wanted one. He has like this one particular signature, and it's like a blood splattered flying V, like a white flying V with blood splattered on it. And oh man, I just always wanted one. One of my buddies in Dublin has one, and it's absolutely sick. But they're Dean guitars, so like they're just big monsters heads and stuff. Anyway, I digress on that. I cut it short, but we were talking before about Metalocalypse. Michael actually done like a voice for one of the characters. I think let me check my notes here. He done for Dr. Amelith Chesterfield. That he done that. So like it's connected. It's all connected. But like he's such a good guitarist that he's had like multitude of guest appearances. One noted one is with Creator on the Enemy of God, the Haunted, One Kill Wonder, which is a brilliant album. So like he's worked with amazing people over the years. But just the talent on this album with Angela's vocals, Daniel's drumming, and I don't want to leave out their amazing bass player, who has been in the band and still in the band ever since. Forget his name. It's gone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's fantastic. I hope he doesn't watch this now and kick my ass.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll wait till this is released.
Dang it.
So interesting. It's interesting reading the reviews of this album. It's just like, it's actually very mixed. Like one guy of Metal Review wrote a negative review where he said the band hasn't crafted anything purchase worthy since John Lever, the original singer, left the crew. That's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Hey, freedom of speech, say what you want, but I disagree. I think it's just like, obviously, loyalty to a singer is a real thing. I have it with so many bands. So if it's a case of that, where you're so high strung on a certain singer, a certain member, where you just can't imagine listening to anything else. Like I can kind of see that. For example, I'm like that with the band Misfits. They changed singers like second album in, third album was a different singer, and I can't listen to anything but the first two albums. Because I'm very much a loyalist to the first single, Danzig. But so it's one. So obviously, with this band having so much change up since even until then, and then as we just mentioned, they have a new lineup with a new singer. I can imagine that kind of thing might throw fans for a bit of a loop. It's like, because nothing worse, I guess, than it's always funny when you see a band and their fan base has to break them down by errors. That's always the worst. It's like, this error was the best. No, it's like, how many lineup changes have you had? And I know this band hasn't had that many compared to others, but it could be one of those cases where it's like, as that guy said, nothing better than the original singer. And then some people might prefer the third singer over her. So it's just like this whole different era split up, and it's like, where the fuck? Like, it's all over the place. But going back to this album, I think it was it's a very strong statement. The instrumentation, I think, especially for its time, kind of pushed the necessary boundaries, whether big or small, for other bands who wanted, hundreds of other bands who wanted to play death metal, but in their own way, maybe were afraid, or nervous that it wasn't your average meat and potato death metal. I think thanks to this, pretty much, I really think this is what kind of pushed that envelope, especially because, if I'm not mistaken, this album specifically got like a mainstream success. Like it was pushing the mainstream, which kind of catapulted the band into a top tier of their genre. So I can only imagine how much influence specifically this album must have had, like I said, on other bands who want to do similar styles that don't really fit into anything else. So I 2005. So it's like almost 20 years later. 2 years of being 20 years since this album came out, and it's still memorable. It's still kick ass, and even going back all these years later, I still have the same feelings about it.
Yeah, it's mad when you think about that, because this was a major inspiration on the way I'm writing now, even to this day. It's crazy to think. And I remember buying this album when it came out first. I bought it in Kilkenny. I was out with my old band, and I was just like, I have really fond memories of the summer that I was listening to this album. It's really cool. But what really inspired me was this Aeolian mode. It's this is guitar nerd shit now, but there's like this scale, and it's Michael's preferred way of writing, right? It's just like a really kind of it's like a minor key kind of vibe off it, but it's like, I don't know, it's, without getting too into it with like the harmonic minor scale and stuff like that, I just pick a few songs that have this kind of vibe, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Like Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamond is one of them. So if you can imagine the vibe off that song, right, and the vibe off Blackbird by Alter Bridge, that kind of like, or even Losing My Religion, those songs are like an emotional thing. You can straight away, you can feel what I'm talking about. Or even Phil Collins, something, or In the Air Tonight, right? There's just this like Aeolian mode emotion, and Michael Amott uses this the whole time in the songwriting process, and it's like it's a sadness kind of minor key, but it's not, because there's a couple of major notes put in there. So it's this really interesting sonic frequency for the mind. Like, I think it really, really adds to the way these guys write. But actually, you mentioned the Misfits. Just a bit of trivia: the singer Alicia now is married to Doyle from the Misfits. So there's a little bit extra trivia, so she's Canadian as far as I know, but anyway, this album, Billboard chart, sold 12,000 copies. Like, it's just, when you think about, well, it sold 65,000 copies, but in the first week it sold 12,000. So in anybody's terms, it's a really good album. It had mixed reviews, but I think it's one of the most important albums of the 2000s, because there was a lot of shite in the early 2000s as well. Like, there was the metal world was a little bit on its head. It didn't really know for the first 5-6 years. It was a little bit like, where are we going to go, what's popular, what's not popular, because the early 2000s was a weird time anyway. Everybody was expecting this futuristic world, but like we didn't really get it. Like, but the fact that these guys stuck to this like mechanical, just pure, like a raw mechanical. That's the way I describe this sound. It's like the sound of metal. Like it is the sound of metal. But they just round it off in this beautiful way. But yeah, no, like I don't know if you said like the All Music gave it like a rating of 1, right? Which to me is outrageous. I was like, is that 1? Is that like they gave it their number 1 album, or are they giving it 1 out of what? Like, I don't know. I was reading that. I was like, this can't be 1. Like, surely what the fuck is wrong? Because Blabbermouth gave it a 7 out of 10, so they're more reputable in my opinion. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like the songs, like you said, Nemesis is just killer. My Apocalypse is just killer. There's also track number 8, Hybrids of Steel. Speaking of steel and metal, this is the instrumental track, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Like, you talk about neoclassical stuff bringing into this like metal world, like that is one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever written. And it's like fucking, detuned guitars and stuff, like distorted guitars, and it just goes to show the talent that them two brothers have. It's unreal. But I do like the way, like, a lot of the songs were written by the drummer Daniel as well. So like they were written and composed by Christopher, Michael, and Daniel, but then Angela obviously done all the lyrics, except for a couple of tracks. There's a couple of tracks Michael wrote the lyrics for, which are probably my least favorite. We'll get to that after, but it's, Michael's lyrics are good, like, but I think when Angela's singing somebody else's lyrics, it doesn't come across as well, like. But anyway, I digress. Fucking killer album. Gus G worked on one of the songs as well. Another incredible guitar player. Taking Back My Soul, he done like the second guitar solo, so exceptional talent on this album. I love the album cover as well. What do you think of the album cover? Like, it's striking. Like, it'd be a nice tattoo.
Yeah, it would be nice and doomy. Very doomy. It's a great album. Why don't we move on to sponsors?
Yes, let's do it.
So, if you want to start.
Well, today I would like to give a shout out to my good friends at Iron Age Guitar Picks, because when we were playing the show the other night, I was playing and somebody was asking me, because I think I threw one out or something, and somebody was like, "What is this?" I don't understand. They're like, "What's going on with this pick? Like, why is it like this?" So I show you there. It's a Berserker symbol, ebony wooden pick made and crafted specifically for me by Iron Age, and it's super thick because I like to break strings a lot. But everybody was just like, "What is going on with that pick?" Then we had a big conversation, me and a couple of complete strangers, like, but they were fascinated. So I said, I'll have to give them a shout out because they really do make incredible picks. They're based in San Antonio, Texas, USA. I highly recommend these lovely people. They make really cool kill switches as well, but they have a huge range of ones that they can make, or ones that they've already have in their line. Like this is the Fenrir one of my favorites as well. Fenrir, who I have on my hand. Fenrir, boo! So they're just killer. If you're looking for custom stuff or anything like that, or you want to get some of my ones off me, give me a shout. They're badass. Iron Age guitar accessories. Boom.
Would you say that those kill switch were properly engaged?
Actually, that's very good because Andy Sneap worked with kill switch engaged as well. Like, so there you go.
That's it. Well, today I'm going to actually shout out something that I've been obsessed with the past few days. Actually, this person didn't even tell. I was never asked to promote these people, but I'm going to anyway out of the because I love it, I'm gonna promote it anyway, and then I'll just probably tell them later that I did. But I need to let the world know about a podcast that I've been listening to lately because it is amazing. And I've actually listened to a few podcasts, but one of them I've been getting into the past week or so, and I haven't turned it off since. Is a podcast called Little Stinkers. So here's why it's an amazing podcast. So there is a podcast out there called Dad Meat, which is the podcast that took me so long to get up to. It's a comedy podcast. Two comedians, Tim Butterly, Michael Rainey. Michael Rainey is one of the most honest dudes in the world. He makes even Allegiance Skanks uncomfortable when he comes on. He's just so honest, like he doesn't give a fuck. He'll say anything. And he has branched off from his main podcast, Dad Meat, to do a podcast about serial killers. And in this one, he mixes comedy with serial killers. He mixes dark comedy with serial killers and likes to make jokes about some pretty fucked up things about serial killers, but also tell you every week about a different serial killer. And it is one of the best podcasts I've heard in a while. I've been binging it nonstop. Every episode is a different serial killer. He makes funny points, interesting takes. He does real research. Yeah, so if you're a fan of serial killer stuff like I am, this should be a dream podcast for you. Little Stinkers, LIL Stinkers. I'll put it on top anyway. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's free on podcast, and there's also a Patreon, which I'm subscribed to, which gives you part 2s of each serial killer where they do like specific detailed stuff. So it's really good. Like everything: Charles Manson, O.J. Simpson, Jeffrey, anyone you can think of, they've covered it. Yeah, so go check it out. It's my favorite podcast of the week. So Little Stinkers, which I'm going to finish when I get off this podcast as well. So I'm just going to keep playing it because I'm in love with the podcast. So yeah, go check it out. Link above, and enjoy your serial killer if you're into that thing. Fix. I love learning about serial killers. It's like my favorite things. Perfect podcast for me. Okay. So I think we know what time it is.
I don't have my guitar with me, but I can do like a air piano. The devil's out.
Can you do normal piano?
The devil. It's too far away. The devil's advocate. The devil's advocate. Woo!
There you go.
That's the elevator version.
Yes. Wow. My worst track. So this was actually a lot harder than I thought. Although, I mean, the past almost 2 decades of me listening to this album, I don't remember a song sticking out like a sore thumb anyway. So for today, I'm going to have to choose I Am Legend, Alpha Blood. Only, and it's weird because like, only for the intro. I wasn't feeling the intro. It felt a bit weird. I'm kind of a halt on the vibe of the album, just in my opinion, took a little bit of a halt in the intro, but then the rest of the song ended up being amazing. But it's just that intro that kind of faltered a little bit for me, so I have to nitpick at this point. So yeah, the first, what is it? How long was it? The first minute, I'd say, the intro, I wasn't a fan of, but then I love the rest of the track. So if I had to pick, it's that one. And it shouldn't be any surprise. My favorite track 3, Nemesis. First song I ever discovered of the band and still reigns strong today. I love the fast instrumentation. I love that intro. Dun, 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 dun. I love obviously the vocals. We are Nemesis. My Apocalypse is a great song too. My Apocalypse is here. So it kind of reminds me in a bit of, it's probably weird, but it kind of reminds me of that Slipknot song. It's off the IO album, and it was on the Resident Evil movies. My Plague. I think it's called My Plague. Yeah, it kind of reminds you sonically of that song. Except Slipknot has a clean part for the chorus, but still, yeah, My Apocalypse, great song, but Nemesis is my number 1.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, I knew you were gonna go for Nemesis, right? So, you know, my 2 favorite songs, probably my 2 favorite songs, up there in my top 50. I don't know who goes where on my top 50, but I definitely would put My Apocalypse and Nemesis in there 100%. Like, My Apocalypse is one of my favorite songs, like, without a fucking shadow of a doubt. I remember there was there's an Irish radio show over here. Let me remember so I can give him a shout. Shit. His name is Ian McWilliams. He's a radio host, and he's really supported my band for a long time. But he often asks people if they want to suggest a song, and I'm normally not bothered doing that kind of thing. But I love his show so much, and I remember every time he asked me, I said My Apocalypse. I was like, just blast that fucking tune, man. I loved it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, no, it's just such an iconic song. There's so much in it. Like whatever that noise at the start is, it's like a like I still haven't figured out what that is. But part of me doesn't really want to know because it's so mysterious and such an epic sound. It's like I could only imagine it's like a tunnel and some kind of wind and like something dropping into something and like epicness. I don't know what it is. It's fucking beautiful anyway. But and the drumming, that marching drumming style stuff at the start, not like a marching drum, but it's like a it's just like it just makes you want to run and fucking, I don't know, cause havoc. Like it's brilliant. Like it's really inspiring. Be a great training song. Like, but yeah. So 100% that's mine because I knew you were gonna go for Nemesis, and Nemesis is a fucking amazing song. Like one of the best. But for my least favorite, and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this, but I know what it translates into. Yeah. Mac
Power Struggle.
Power Struggle. Yeah, Power Struggle. So Mac Crumped, Power Struggle. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was writing my notes about what I felt about this song, I realized that I was being fucking ridiculous because it's such an amazing song. Like it's a monster track, but on an album like this, you know, and we're nitpicking like fuck. It's just absolutely it's impossible to pick a song that you can say anything negative about because it's a flawless album. Like it really is, from start to finish. It's beautiful, beautifully crafted, beautifully written, absolutely astonishing talent and performance on it. Like, and obviously Andy Sneap mixed and mastered, which is you know, a cocktail for just fucking amazing, iconic shit. Like, but the drumming at the start of this song is amazing. But it's just one song that I don't listen to as often. Like, I have a thing with Arch Enemy where I'll stick on an album and then I'll want to listen to a couple of my favorite songs from other albums, and this wouldn't be one that I would punch in. You know, kind of way. And that's the only thing I can say about it. But when I listen to it, I'm like, oh man, this is killer. Because they're seriously, it's like they're bitching solos in this song as well. But I just think overall, as a listener, I probably wouldn't go to it as often as the rest of them. But man, it's such a great album. I was so happy to be back listening to it. Like I said, pioneers in so many ways. I think Michael Amott is like regarded as number 74 in the top 100 metal guitarists of all time, which I think is bullshit. He should definitely be in the top 50, like at least. But you know, yeah. I'm sure there's plenty where he is higher. But to be even in the top 100, if I was like 99 and a half, I'd be happy, you know, that kind of way. But yeah, no, I just think it's just, you know, there's a recognizable sound that Arch Enemy have, and even still to this day, despite the fact that there's Alicia's doing some kind of clean vocals lately, which I'm not really digging on. Like, they're very well done, and she used to do that in her old band. I think her old band was The Agnostic, now that I think about it. And it was phenomenal stuff, but just, I don't know, this iconic sound that Arch Enemy made was within those couple of albums in the mid to late 2000s. And it's just a sound that has never been emulated correctly. It's never been reproduced, even by the band themselves, really. But I suppose it's probably a little bit harsh because when you listen to them musically, they are still the same band. But I don't know. I just think that they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame of metal. The things that they've done, you know, I just honestly, I'd love to see a little reunion, but it's not going to happen with Angela and Christopher. But you know, you never know down the line. But I would love to see something like that. But yeah, just Absolutely outrageous. Man the boys. Dumla.
Nice. Cool. That was this week's episode, and I have an album already in mind to talk about next week. This is actually going to be one of the more it's an artist I completely forgot about until recently. An album I used to be hooked on, an artist I used to be hooked on. And get this, before I announce who it is, this is how good this artist is, right? So a few years ago, the great Sir Elton John said in a press conference or podcast or something, he said somewhere that there's only two real musicians left in today's music. Elton John, he said himself, and the artist I'm about to say. So for this artist, considering he's an indie artist, must have been insane to hear that Elton John said that about him. If Elton John said that about me, that would be my life over. Like, that hits all my bucket lists. I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm the man. Elton John said so. But the guy in question, he's a indie folk artist, one of the best in the genre today, has been going strong for about 10 or so years or more with different projects, such as projects under his real name, another project under a different name, but this is his main project under the name, and let's see if you've heard of him, Father John Misty.
Father John Misty? No, I've not heard of him.
Well, his real name is Josh Tillman, and
Right.
he's done stuff under Josh Tillman before, under Jay Tillman, which is great. It's more folky, it's a lot more acoustic, but great albums nonetheless. And this is his main project, Father John Misty, and this album in particular is called Pure Comedy. So it's the best way I can describe it. It's kind of a sarcastic and saturated look on society, and he likes to do it in very fun, very dark, and very fun ways of thinking about today's society, from everything from religion to human rights to politics. He has his own spin on things, and it's one of the greatest albums I've heard in a while. And this album puts my dog to sleep. He
Nice.
loves this album too. It's a great album, and it's actually funny because this album is so in your face. It's so like it's such a fun shit talking time that actually when this album came out, and I kid you not, every time I read this, every time I rethink about this, it makes me laugh because John Misty, when he was promoting this album and trying to get live shows for this album, he was actually chased out of town by Catholics and Christians. He said that he had to haul ass out of some towns because of how vulgar the message was. Which once you listen to it, you'll know it's just a fun time. A fun shit talking time. But he said in so many interviews that so many people have been up his ass. It's like, oh, how dare you talk about religion? You know, who are you to call yourself Father John Misty? And he would reply, do you really think I take myself that seriously? I call myself Father John Misty. Anyway, he's a funny guy. So it's an indie folk album, so a lot softer than albums we normally talk about. But I've got this album on vinyl. It's just a fantastic album. The one he released before this was amazing. The one after this was amazing. So his whole discography as Father John Misty has been amazing in my opinion. But this is his a lot of people call this album his like magnum opus, and it was released in 2017, so not too old, but there's a lot of like, it's a very lyrical heavy album, so it's something that to like research the lyrics and pull them over. But yeah, it's a great album, universally acclaimed, and can't wait to talk about it.
I like him already. Sounds good.
He's a very great and funny guy. There's just a lot of fun points he makes about society, and so it still will definitely be a treasure to talk about next week. But until then, as you always say here on SAGAS, same time, same place,
Or something.